Welcome back to Pikmin gamers. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Pikmin's bosses, mostly about how cool they are in 3. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about in this video is from a Twitter post I made, so make sure to follow me there to see any unhinged video ideas before they release, and to help me keep my sanity. It does also make you an extra 3.5% more attractive, so that's a plus too. The Pikmin series has some great bosses, some memorable and fun, and others are the segmented corrupster. At least I don't have to look up its name this time. From the iconic, memorable burrowing Snaglet to the huge quaggled Meyerklops, there's no denying that the team behind these games has some great creative talent. I want to talk about some of the best and worst of these big bads, and you guys comment below whether or not you agree with me, or if you're wrong. First off, we've got this tweet from my IRL buddy RJ, Twitter in description, who says, "Me when the sand-belching Mearslug is eating 87 of my Pikmin but the music picks up." To which I say, how the frick are you losing Pikmin to that thing? Obviously it's for the bit, but I personally find Pikmin 3's bosses pretty easy, even on Ultra Spicy mode. You do have pretty set strategies for each one. For the Mondad, just beat up its mandibles first and you pretty much just win. For the Mearslug, just charge it when it comes up and bomb it when it goes down. For the Maestro, just be good and use a dodge whistle. And for the Plasma Wraith, just use rocks and whatever else you end up needing. It's a little bit cringe that you can cheese the final boss with some pebbles, but oh well. And for the Fozbat, well, for the Fozbat, you can basically do whatever. You see, where the Behemoth Fozbat's fight is unique is in its arena, which uses the yellow Pikmin's abilities to their fullest. The Distant Tundra is the only area in the game, besides the Chase and the Formidable Oak, where you get to use the yellow's new conducting electricity ability. Basically, you throw a bunch of yellows between a couple wires, which finishes the circuit and lights up a light bulb. Where this comes into the Fozbat fight is in its arena, which is littered with these incomplete circuits. You see, the Behemoth Fozbat and the smaller, just Fozbats, live underground, which means they don't often see light. This makes them very weak to the ability to see, to the point where the smaller Fozbats will die to a few seconds of exposure to a glow cap. The bigger Fozbat requires more light to be stunned, so you have to light up the light bulb with yellow Pikmin. There are 3 smaller ones scattered around the arena that you use to advance the phases, where you're supposed to complete this bridge to access the big light bulb in the center of the cave, which is supposed to start the real battle, where you chase the Behemoth Fozbat around until it dies, and you get Charlie. However, Pikmin 3 is such an easy game that it's really not that difficult to just finish the battle before you activate the final light bulb. There's also a strategy that lets you access the final bulb early by throwing a captain across before the bridge is done and tossing him 20 yellows to activate it. It's a really unique boss in that its arena is basically its own Pikmin 2 cave sublevel, minus the time stopping. There are lots of ways you can beat the Fozbat, which makes it a really fun boss to replay every time I run 3. Special thanks to @MrPigman on Twitter for requesting this one. Next we have a reply from @ConfusedSlug_, talking about how Pikmin 1's bosses are just treated like normal enemies, most of them not even having boss music, which makes the world feel more real and fluid. I've always liked this too, before 2 came along with its big intense battles and sweeping music, or as sweeping as Pikmin samples can be. We just had this big circle behind a wall that you would beat up the armored cannon beetle in, or this plateau with an ungodly amount of snaglets you have to find the next ship part in. There are 2 bosses that actually have their own music. The beady longlegs and the forest navel, because the super chill music, while it absolutely slaps, isn't really something you'd want to fight a giant enemy spider to. And the Emperor Bulblax, which is obviously the final boss. Everything else is kind of just sitting there and you go fight them wherever you want, in and out pretty quickly. It's always felt really nice just to be able to walk up to an enemy and fight it. Just have it be a bit stronger than usual. It's different from 2 and 3's fights, but it still feels cool in its own way. The next reply is from @Nobody2401, saying it's really cool that the Scornet Maestro uses 100 Scornets to mirror the fact you can have 100 Pikmin, at least in normal and hard mode. It's a pretty cool detail they added. We've also got our final submission, this time from @Bowser Jr., a little bit of a Pikmin friend of mine on Twitter, who wants me to talk about how the music changes in the boss fights whenever a specific thing is happening. Whether that's the boss attacking, or it being vulnerable, or a foreshadowing of something that's about to happen, doubled down on by a text box giving a warning from your leading captain, it adds a ton more depth to 3's fights that wouldn't be there otherwise. 2 started the ball rolling on this by using a boss theme every time you started fighting one of these enemies. It has the opening fanfare when the boss wakes up or slams down or pops up or whatever it does to initiate the battle, and different parts of the music where it becomes more intense when the boss is about to attack or when it is attacking. You can see this really well in the game's first boss fight, where you fight the Empress Bulblax. It's a definite improvement on 1's boss theme, although that one wasn't used as often as we discussed. But then 3 came along and added so much onto that. I hope they keep it how it is in 4, but if they find a way to make it even better, I'm definitely not complaining. I'm gonna stop talking about music now and save it for tomorrow's video about the various games' soundtracks. I do, however, want to briefly talk about some of Pikmin 2's boss fights before I close out the video. As I've mentioned, almost every cave has a boss fight at the end of it, ranging from the huge Empress Bulblax to the frickin' awful Mana Legs and the terrifying Water Wraith. Some caves, like the endgame ones in Wistful Wild, namely Hole of Heroes, the boss rush cave, but each one has its own unique boss at the end, usually holding some kind of upgrade you can use. It's a really neat little concept that helps make each cave feel rewarding to complete. Less so after you clear the debt, but seeing the funny number go up and having some new ability feels good. Some of my least favorite bosses are the Mana Legs, because the best strategy for it is annoying and the fast strategy involves being blown up multiple times. The Water Wraith because well, obviously. And the second Empress Bullwax because it keeps giving birth during the fight, and while I do love punching infants, even I have my limits. I actually do like the Raging Longlegs, even though people apparently hate it, but I just think it's really satisfying that its head orb thing is so big and it's fun to throw Pikmin on it. The Pikmin series had a history of both fun and not so fun enemies, and its bosses are all the same way. Nonetheless, I have a good time playing each Pikmin game and beating up all the bosses. If you have a particular Pikmin boss you love, make sure to tell me in the comments down below. It'd be super cool to see what you guys think. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe with notifications so you don't miss the rest of Pikmin. Follow me on Twitter too, so you can help me get ideas for these high quality videos, and follow me on flat.io because I can post some pretty cool music over there and don't plug it too often. This has been a fun video, but it's over now. So until next time, this is Shoot Kapow, over and out. The Distant Tundra is the only area in the game besides the chase in the formidable it's fermented oak. I don't know. There's a lot of F words. Wait, no. It's a pretty cool what did I just say? Some caves, like the endgame ones in Wistful Wild, namely Hole of Beasts, the boss rush, namely Hole of Beasts, the Hole of Beasts, no, it's Hole of Heroes. Namely Hole of Heroes, the boss rush cave. There we go, I nailed it. And fighting up